Chanyang Ju wanted very simple things. Enough to eat every day, a chance to spend time with her family, and a boyfriend.
My name is Chanyang Ju. I'm 25 years old.
Her incredible story begins here in North Korea, where she was born and grew up in the midst of a famine. According to estimates, 2 million people in the People's Republic have died of malnutrition since the 1990s.
North Korea followed a communist ideology with a planned economy. We had a food distribution system, but it wasn't working. In order to fill our stomachs, our mother and father would gather small grains and mix them with lots of dried vegetable leaves. We couldn't even imagine having rice. Corn was our main source of food, and even that was hard to get.
North Korea has Asia's second largest army. The country isolated itself from the rest of the world in 1953. Resistance to the Kim dictatorship is forbidden. The Chu family listened to foreign radio in secret.
When we heard all the information from outside, we began to feel that we'd been deceived. So my father decided that he could not let his children live in a place like that.
He decided to flee the country, but that meant risking death. North Korea's borders are secured with watchtowers and barbed wire.
My father escaped first, and then the rest of my family left. I stayed behind. I was 18. I thought if I stayed behind, like a hostage, my family would be able to escape safely. The authorities expected my father to return home because he had a daughter there. They were always monitoring me.
If the police had known about her plan to escape, she'd have ended up in a so-called re-education camp. Drawings by former inmates depict torture and brutality. Marzuki Darusman from Indonesia, currently UN Special Rapporteur on North Korea, collects such evidence.
For the moment, we do have to recognize that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea continues to pose a challenge to the international community in terms of its continuing practice of totalitarian repression of its people. We do have satellite imageries that clearly corroborates the existence of these camps. Between 180 to 200,000 inmates are being incarcerated. Crimes against humanity took place and continue to take place in that country.
Mr. Darusman presents his findings to various UN commissions at regular intervals. And just as regularly, objections are raised by North Korea's UN representatives.
We would like once again to categorically reject the Special Rapporteur and his report on the human rights situation in the DPRK. This Special Rapporteur and his report constitute extreme manifestation of politicization, selectivity, and double standards, and have no relevance whatsoever with genuine human rights.
Chanyang Ju had to wait for 3 years until her family had enough money to make her escape possible. First, she went to China, a risky move because the Chinese tend to promptly return escapees back to North Korea.
I swam across the river. A North Korean soldier who was a border guard helped me cross the river because my father had bribed him. When I crossed the Duman River, I was in China.
She crossed through Thailand before reuniting with her family in South Korea.
The morning after my arrival, after I'd seen my family again, I didn't dare open my eyes. I could hear my mother cooking in the kitchen. I could hear my father's voice and my younger brother and sister. I didn't want to open my eyes because it felt like a dream. I was afraid I would wake up from the dream if I opened my eyes.
Nothing compares to the pain of leaving your child behind. When we arrived here, People would invite us to big Korean feasts, but we couldn't enjoy them because our daughter wasn't with us. Even when I went to sleep, I was restless and I'd get lost in nightmares.
At first, it wasn't easy for Chanyang to find her bearings in her new surroundings.
When I started going to the gigantic supermarkets here, I didn't know how to use the trolleys, so people would look at me strangely. I learned how to use the subway cards from my younger siblings. Now I can scan my bag, beep, like you saw me do today.
Chanyang has since become quite well known in her new home of South Korea.
Are you nervous? A little bit. Exciting.
She often appears on television to tell her story. And in doing so, she has one aim above all.
When I was in North Korea, I risked my life to listen to the radio from the outside world. I had to do it in strict secrecy. I believe there are other people there who are also listening, just the way I did.
Chanyang, actually, it's her first time to the United States, and so please give it up for Chanyang.
She was even invited to the US by an NGO.
Chanyang is a great example of the value and the role that North Korean refugees can play, because she's helping South Korean and even international audiences understand a lot more than we used to about North Korea.
Chanyang Ju has begun a new life. She hopes the two Koreas will come together one day, like she and her boyfriend, a South Korean. The two plan to marry in a few months.